We've been talking this week about kid inventors, and I want to read a story of an inventor who was a kid, and also she lived a really long time ago. This is called Marvelous Mattie, How Margaret E. Knight Became an Inventor, and you'll see pictures around here and all throughout the book of the drawings that she made. Hers is a really interesting story, and it happened a long, long time ago. She was one of the first. Mattie Knight lived in a little house in York, Maine, with her widowed mother and older brothers Charlie and Jim. They were poor, but Mattie didn't feel poor. She had inherited her father's toolbox. I'm going to close in a little bit here so you can see that. When she thought of things that could be made with the tools, she drew them in a notebook labeled My Inventions. Her brothers called the sketches her brainstorms, and you'll see them all along the bottom here. Mattie made a whirligig for Charlie and a jumping jack for Jim. And for her mother, who sat up late on cold nights sewing to earn a living, she made a foot warmer. In the spring, Charlie and Jim said, "Won't you make us a special kite?" Mattie sketched a few kites with different shapes and struts. She picked the best one and set to work on it. "What's Mattie doing now?" her mother would ask. "She's had a brainstorm," the boys said. Their mother shook her head. Mattie was a strange girl, she thought, happiest with her pencil, her jackknife, and a hammer. Mattie and the boys took the finished kite to Ward's Hill. Jim ran with it into the wind. "Faster!" Mattie called. The kite trembled briefly, took a dive, and then rose on a sudden gust. Do you see it up there? "Yahoo!" Charlie yelled. The kite soared higher and higher. "Who made that?" some town boys asked. "Mattie made it." "She didn't. A girl couldn't make that." The following winter, Mattie made sleds for Charlie and Jim. They won every race down Ward's Hill. 4 boys asked Mattie to make sleds for them to race. "It'll cost you $0.25 apiece," Mattie said. The boys agreed, and every afternoon after school, Mattie worked on the sleds. She gave the money to her mother, but the family was still very poor. When Mattie was 11, Mrs. Knight gathered the children together and said, "I've heard there are jobs in the textile mills in Manchester, New Hampshire. The boys and I will work, and Mattie will go to school until she is 12. The company will rent us a house." Manchester was a new brick town. With her family gone for 13 hours every day, Mattie was lonely. After school, while she waited for them to come home, she liked to explore the complex of mills. But the overseers chased her from the spinning and weaving rooms. One day she heard a tremendous roar coming from a building. She went inside and saw that men were building a huge iron machine. Mattie opened her notebook and began to sketch. "Have you lost your way, little miss?" a man asked. "This is a machine shop, isn't it?" Mattie replied. "Well, what does a young girl want here?" he asked. "I love machines," Mattie said. "I guess you must," he replied. "Our shop usually repairs looms, but we've been asked to manufacture this locomotive." You can see it in the back here. Mattie's eyes glowed. "What's it for?" she asked. "Why, for the railroad. This is the General Washington. It will haul cars on the New York Central lines." The man's name was Mr. Baldwin, and he answered all her questions. Mattie felt very much at home in the machine shop. She told her family what she had discovered. "Whatever can this lead to?" her mother said, sighing. When Mattie turned 12, she went to work in the mill, rising with the 4:30 bell in the morning and trudging home to the 7:30 bell at night. One day, a shuttle shot off the end of a loom and slammed into a girl's head. The injured girl was Rebecca, who lived next door to Mattie's family. Mattie ran to help. "Out of the way!" the overseer shouted. Rebecca was carried out while the looms clattered on and the other girls tried not to lose their threads. Nothing ever halted production. Horrible, someone said. It's the fault of these machines. After work, Mattie walked home with her family. She went over and over the sequence of events that had led to the accident. She pictured the shuttle, what it was supposed to do, and then how it had gone wrong. A machine was an invention, and it could always be improved. That evening there was a vigil for Rebecca. A weaver said it wasn't uncommon for threads to snap, making missiles of the shuttles. Mattie sat scribbling in her notebook, and suddenly an idea took shape. A metal guard attached to the box plate would stop a shuttle that had run off the track. It was simple. If only she could try it out. Mattie showed her notebook to Mr. Baldwin. "My goodness, these are the drawings of a real inventor," he said, "and I think your solution is right. I'm going to take it to the boss." The head engineer was impressed and showed Mattie's idea to one of the mill owners. A few weeks passed. Rebecca got better. And then one day, workmen arrived and began installing metal guards on all the looms in every mill in Manchester. The guards worked just as Mattie had designed them to do. Never again would someone be hurt by a runaway shuttle. "Oh, Mattie, I'm so proud of you," her mother said. Mr. Baldwin congratulated her. "You ought to own a patent on your idea," he remarked. "What's a patent?" Mattie asked. He explained that some inventors registered their ideas with the government to protect them from being stolen. Once patented, an idea could be sold, or the inventor could manufacture the device herself. "But I guess they wouldn't give a patent to a little girl," he said. Mattie worked in the mill for a few more years. Cotton prices fell and production slowed. "I want to look for a better opportunity," Mattie told her mother when she turned 18. "I hate to give you up," said her mother, "but I know you must go." Mattie moved away from home and worked in several different factories. And then after the Civil War, she heard of a job in Springfield, Massachusetts. It was in a factory that mass-produced paper bags that used to be made by hand. Its machines cut paper from long rolls, then folded and pasted each length shut at the bottom, just like an envelope. But the bags didn't stand upright, and grocers had to use one hand to hold them open for filling. Bulky